Hi, my name's Dannon, and this is Ashlyn. Our group's big topic is the Ebola virus explained. Now, in order to explain Ebola, we have to explain microorganisms. So here we go. Microorganisms are microscopic living organisms that are invisible to the naked eye. They can be single-celled or multicellular. The study of microorganisms is called microbiology. There are 5 kinds of microorganisms. They are protozoa, bacteria, viruses, algae, and fungi. The first one I'm going to talk about is bacteria. Bacteria are single-celled microorganisms that are invisible to the naked eye. For an example, salmonella. Salmonella causes food poisoning. Now, bacteria can also be useful to make antibiotics. I'm going to talk about fungi now. Fungi is fungi can be many different sizes, ranging from the microscopic single-celled yeast used in beer and bread making to the microscopic fungi, which contains many cells such as mold, mushrooms, and toadstools. I'm going to talk a little bit more about mold. Mold is a simple microscopic organism virtually everywhere, indoors and outdoors. When the conditions suit, mold grows on surfaces with visible discoloration like green, gray, brown, black, even white and other colors. Mold releases tiny spores and fragments which travel through the air. Often attached to these are mycotoxins, and often attached to these are allergens, and that's the main way mold affects humans. The next one I'm going to talk about is protozoa. The word protozoa means first animal. Protozoa are single-celled microorganisms like malaria or sleeping sickness. But they can also be useful, for example, in the treatment of sewage, where they eat all the harmful bacteria, making it safe for disposal. Algae. Algae can be many different sizes, from the microscopic single-celled diatoms used in toothpaste to the microscopic algae, which contains many cells like seaweed. The next one I'm going to talk about are viruses. Viruses are parasites, which means they can only survive in the cells of other living things. Viruses are the smallest of the microorganisms and can only be seen under a very powerful microscope. Some examples are chickenpox and measles. We are going to talk a little bit more about one virus in particular, that is Ebola. Thank you.
So as Dannon previously said, Ebola is a deadly virus that was originated in 1976 from a small boy who was 3 and contracted it from eating a bat and then transmitted it to his family. Between September 1st and October 24th, 1976, more than 318 people had contracted and died from Ebola hemorrhagic fever. Ebola got its name from the Ebola River in Zaire, which is where the first case of Ebola was originated. In the last 2014 outbreak, more than 11,000 people had contracted and died from Ebola. A more recent case of Ebola, well, she didn't have Ebola, but the story is that a woman named Patrice Gordon, who works at Kelowna General Hospital, went to Africa to help treat Ebola and came back showing symptoms of Ebola and got tests done and was put into a quarantine, as the test came back negative that she did not have Ebola. Eve is now going to talk about the symptoms and different types of Ebola.
Like she previously said, I will be explaining to you in depth the species of Ebola and the symptoms. Let's start off with the species. The types of Ebola are Sudan, Zaire, Reston, and lastly, Thai forest. Sudan. The name Sudan came from, Sudan. Most all of the forms of Ebola are named after where they were first discovered. The first outbreak of Sudan Ebola was in 1976. Zaire. Once again, the name Zaire is derived from Zaire. The Zaire Ebola virus has the highest death rate with up to 90% chance of death. The first case of Zaire Ebola was in 1976 with a middle-aged school teacher. Thai forest. The name Thai forest derived from Parc National de Thai, a national park in Côte d'Ivoire. This species of Ebola was introduced in 1998. In 2002, the name was proposed to be changed back to Thai. In 2002, the name was changed to Côte d'Ivoire, both times misspelling Côte. The name was proposed to be changed back to Thai forest in 2010 and was immediately approved by the ICTV. Reston. Reston is the only one of the Ebola virus out of 4 that only affects non-human primates, only monkeys and bats to be specific. The Reston was added as a new strain on Ebola. Reston Ebola virus was discovered in 1990 in Reston, Virginia, U.S. Now let's get into the symptoms. The symptoms include fever, headache, muscle pain, weakness, fatigue, diarrhea, vomiting, and abdominal pain, and unexplained hemorrhage. Symptoms may appear anywhere from 2 to 21 days after exposure to Ebola, though the average is 8 to 10. Recovery from Ebola depends on good clinical care service and the immune system's response. People who recover from Ebola often develop antibodies that last upwards of 10 years. That's all I have to say.
Hi, I'm Isaac. I'm really nervous. And I'll be talking about what Ebola does and how it takes over your body. So yeah, you can start the video. Thanks, Cam. So Ebola is a virus. A virus is a very small thing, a bit of DNA and a few proteins as a whole. Has no ability to do anything whatsoever by itself and can only grow and survive by infecting other cells. To prevent this, we have the immune system. The immune system is super complex, so we're only going to focus on the parts directly associated with Ebola and ignore the rest. Yeah, and then it has to reduce it again. So usually when a virus attacks the body, the dendritic cells team up with an army of antiviral cells that wipe out the virus in a matter of days. But when Ebola strikes, it directly attacks the immune system. Yeah. Here we go. It directly attacks the immune system. One of the first cells it takes over is the dendritic cell. It takes over the dendritic cell by binding onto receptors for cell transport. Once inside, it takes over the cell, disables its protective mechanisms, and reprograms it. The cell now becomes an Ebola-producing machine, as you see here. Yeah. Taking all of the cells and making them into other cells. Yeah. Once the cell has been used of all of its resources, Ebola dissolves the cell and millions of viruses are released into the tissue. Ebola not only manages to stop the dendritic cell from activating the specialized antiviral cells, it manipulates it into sending signal proteins that trick the cells into ending their own lives early. So the immune system is seriously disrupted and unable to react, all while the virus grows bigger and bigger. Ebola is also infecting the God cells of the body, telling them to shut down, disable their protective mechanisms, and also tricking them to send signal proteins to the cells that make up the blood vessels, telling them to release fluids into the body. Now, usually this makes sense, but it just causes a whole lot of mayhem. Now, all over the body, neutrophils are activated, and neutrophils are basically not really good against viruses and just begin to do lots of really stupid stuff that they really shouldn't do. And they really just mess up your whole body, and they don't help at all. Because, yeah. So another area of the body Ebola attacks is the liver. Ebola finds it very easy to enter the liver and starts killing loads of liver cells right off the bat, not only causing organ failure, but also internal bleeding. As the virus spreads, it's like tons of nukes exploding all over your body. Yeah. Just gotta wait. There we go. So, all the things your immune system has to work for you start working against you. And yeah. So in one last effort to beat Ebola, your body releases a cytokine storm. Cytokine storm is everything your immune system's got in just one big kamikaze attack to try to kill the virus. See here, these are cells saying, yeah. So basically, a cytokine storm, like I said before, releases, everything the immune system's got in one big kamikaze attack. Now this hurts the virus, but leaves behind tons of collateral damage. All well. So basically, the healthier your immune system is, the more damage it's going to do to itself. All well, you're losing blood out of every opening in your body, and there's just not enough blood to supply oxygen to the organs everywhere. You start to lose your vision, you grow weak, and so once you reach that point, the chance of you dying It's very high. Yeah.
I'm Zola, and I'm going to be talking about Ebola vaccines. There's currently no FDA-approved Ebola vaccine, but there are 3 potential candidates that have been rushed from promising animal studies into human trials. The first Ebola vaccine pictured there is RVSV Zebov, and it's produced by the National Microbiology Laboratory in Winnipeg, along with the company Merck. This Ebola virus vaccine is it's human trials and suggests that this vaccine triggers a rapid immune system response and is very safe. But trials in Geneva, Switzerland were temporarily suspended due to an arthritis-like side effect, and those trials have since resumed. The second Ebola vaccine is produced by GSK and the National Institutes of Health in the U.S. And the third Ebola vaccine is produced by Johnson & Johnson and the company Bavarian Nordic. So far, the GSK and Merck vaccines have been deemed safe in some 600 volunteers, but further testing is underway to see if they actually offer protection against the vaccine, against the virus. And so that was the Ebola. And so, yeah. And then, yeah. And then, yeah. And my conclusion.
You know those candies? Will I talk about it?
Yeah.
So basically, we'll be handing out candies now, and I'll just say it before it happens. So 90% of you are gonna get the red candies, or the colored candies, all those the good ones, and then the other 10% of you guys are gonna get the not so good ones. I don't know if you want to eat them or not, but I don't like them. But also, yeah. So the 90% of you who get the colored candies. You guys died from Ebola. You got it and you died. And the guys who got the not so good flavor, they got it and they survived it. So good on ya.
So in conclusion, Ebola is a rare and highly contagious virus that is spread through bodily fluids, but it's not as scary as the media makes it out to be, because this year only 11,000 people were killed, and the common flu kills up to 500,000 people each year, and malaria kills up to 1 million people each year. So your chances of getting an air spread disease are much higher than getting Ebola, which is only spread if you touch bodily fluids. So, yeah. Thank you for listening. That was the Ebola virus explained.